Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Talking Freight. In the last episode, we talked about how to avoid detention time with your inbound freight. But in this episode, we'll talk about the risks and some rewards for prepaid and ad for inbound logistics. So let's talk prepaid and ad for inbound logistics. The most natural solution for inbound freight management is to let vendors and suppliers handle all the processes. Unfortunately, this contributes to higher inbound freight costs. Why, you ask? The answer is simple. Every company wants to increase profitability, and vendors and suppliers may artificially inflate shipping and handling costs to add to their profitability. Moreover, inbound freight shipments can be subject to numerous changes before it arrives at your dock, allowing other customers to pick up freight at will-call locations or receiving it for delivery in one of your other trucks. Ultimately, you're paying for freight from the vendor to your door, even when such freight has a lower cost. However, utilizing prepaid and ad for inbound logistics management and help shippers avoid these costs and challenges, understand inbound freight management, and improve inbound logistics optimization. So first, let's talk about the challenges of prepaid and ad for inbound logistics management. As with any supply chain process, inbound logistics comes with risks and challenges. The challenges of using key terms, including prepaid and ad for inbound logistics, can have a double meaning. In other words, the implied nature does not necessarily reflect the real nature of the transaction's contractual obligations. The payment term listed on inbound freight can have a drastic effect on freight costs. Even though the term prepaid implies payment in advance, it doesn't necessarily mean payment has been collected. Ultimately, it merely provides a direction for the liability of a shipment. As a result, shippers that use these terms unknowingly may be paying for an artificially inflated cost of shipping. And an average company spends more than 40% of total freight budget on inbound shipping. It makes sense to know whether such activities are occurring. The typical vendor may mark up outbound freight costs to more than 15%, resulting in shippers paying 115% of the inbound freight actual costs. However, outsourcing the process or otherwise gaining additional control and visibility into actual inbound logistics costs can avoid the issue. Next, using prepaid can help shippers understand freight. Using prepaid and ad for inbound logistics can improve overall operations. For example, shippers should change CT and ad to collect, which means shippers retain greater control over inbound freight costs, and the costs of shipping are paid retroactively after shipments are delivered. Furthermore, using prepaid and ad is one of the ways to optimize freight management. Such optimization may yield savings of up to 9%. Next, ways to leverage prepaid and ad to improve inbound logistics. The best laid plans for renegotiating contract terms and managing inbound freight will fall on deaf ears and result in higher inbound freight costs for organizations that don't deploy meaningful measures to track vendor performance and adhere to the inbound freight routing guide. Ultimately, shippers relinquish part of the control over inbound freight management when vendors fail to comply with the rules within the routing guide. One way shippers can leverage prepaid and ad to improve inbound logistics is by offering a premium service for guaranteed delivery, such as advising vendors that you'll order the product at more frequent, more significant intervals if all requirements within the inbound freight routing guide are met. More importantly, shippers may use the traditional meaning of prepaid to pay inbound freight shipping costs, as well as completing scheduled activities before a product or shipment ever leaves vendor control. Ultimately, this can harm shippers, resulting in less time to devote to in-house operations. Fortunately, working with a third-party logistics provider, or 3PL, can help alleviate this problem as well. Depending on the origin and destination of freight, as well as the mode of transportation, different terms may apply. Therefore, it's imperative that shippers consider the cross-cultural issues and factors that may affect liability, payment, and priority affecting inbound freight. So, here are my final thoughts. Know how to leverage different shipping terms for better inbound freight management. Different shipping terms can radically alter the basic expectations in managing inbound freight. Shippers who utilize prepaid and add, as well as replacing them with collect, can effectively move control and liability for a shipment from vendors to shippers, regardless of the stage of transportation. Shippers should take the time to learn these terms and utilize available resources, including those of Ceres's transportation management technology and solutions, to ensure they have full control over both inbound freight planning and costs. Well, that's it for this episode. See you again next week.
Hold up, before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You'll get up-to-the-minute info from Fast Freight 5, educational material from Talking Freight, and the best voices in the industry from the Freight Project podcast.